Hello brothers and sisters, welcome to another episode here on Dangerous African Confessions HD. In this episode, we have a confession from our very sister Rebecca, who shares with us her encounter with a fake prophet. And as a result of their encounter, she now has to face some difficulties and problems in her life. But before we go into what we have for this episode, I would love to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you who is part of this family. And if you are new here, we welcome you as a part of this great family. We truly appreciate your time, your subscription and likes, as well as the comments. Thank you, and let's get into what we have for today. In this episode, we have a story from our sister Rebecca, and she wants to share with us the kind of unthinkable things she has done with a fake prophet even as a married woman, and the consequences that she is facing now.
He told me that it is right that I had come to the church and the good Lord will use him to perform a miracle for my mother. He asked that I allow myself to go through certain rituals in order for my mother to be well again. If only that is what I am looking for, then I cannot get the health I am looking for my mother unless I go through that ritual. At this point, I was desperate and was ready to do anything in order for my mother to be well again. There is this river behind his church, and he asked me to go to the river at 1 a.m. naked and do the rituals there. For I will get to know the rituals when after I am naked and already at the riverside.
As part of our policy, I've made some editing to hide the identity of the person who sent the message. Please kindly subscribe, share and like our videos. Kindly hit the notification bell so you will be the first to get notification to our videos when we upload. Without wasting much of your time, let's go and listen to the story.
Hello brother, I would like to share my saddest and deepest story with you. I know, I have made some very terrible mistakes. The whole thing I am about to tell you is entirely based on how this pastor lured me and slept with me at a riverbank, all in the name of doing spiritual directions for me, in order for my mother to be well again. This thing that happened between the pastor and I is my biggest secret that is haunting me right now that I am sending this to you. And given another chance, I know definitely that this wouldn't be the same route that I would take. You see, after sleeping with the pastor, whatever he had promised or told me will happen had indeed happened. But the painful aspect is that my husband that I love so much is threatening to divorce me. After the ritual and I went back to my husband's place, anytime my husband tries to make love to me, I see this scary creature behind him. And I will start to scream, which will make my husband stop his attempt to make love to me. This has gone on for getting to about 8 months now, and all the things we have tried is not working. My husband is now threatening to ask for divorce if I do not tell him if anything has happened that has changed me so much. Because he knows me very well. And knows how I was like when it came to lovemaking. And all of a sudden, this changed when I returned from my mother's place. The reason why I'm sending this information is that I really want help. I don't want to lose my husband, neither can I tell him what happened between me and the pastor. Because I know deep within me that the day he hears this, the marriage is over. And it wasn't as if I really wanted to go behind him to cheat. The pastor manipulated me and got his way with me. This whole problem started when my mother became really sick and needed much attention. At this very time, I was married just about a year. But my husband, who really understood my situation, told me to go and take care of my mother, since my other 2 siblings are all guys. So, I was with my mother and realized how weak she was getting day after day. I am someone who has my own principles and I would not bend my principles for anyone. But for my mother, I cannot just hold on to my principles and watch her die. So, I have been to so many places just to see if she will be well. Because of her problem, I have been to these traditional healers and fetish priests, seeking for solution for my mother. There are a lot of things, including buying of animal heads and a whole lot just to see if she will be well. I remember one day, I was returning from one of our elders' place and I met this Mo, who mentioned my name straight. And told me that I shouldn't be this much desperate looking for help because, in so doing, I might get to a point where if I am able to solve the problem at hand, I will be entering into a totally different one altogether. I wanted to know the kind of person he is, but then he said that he is only telling me what I have to hear and do. And that is for me to be very careful of the places I have been visiting, all because of trying to seek for solution. I wanted to know more about him to see if he can help me. But he told me that all that he has is what he has told me. So, he walked away. Some days after that, there was this church program that was being organized in one of the churches. This woman, who is also a tenant in my mother's house, knowing how things are going, told me about the program and said that we should go and see if we can see the face of the Lord there. During the program, it was even getting to the time for the prophet to end the program, that he said that the Spirit is telling him that someone is here, that her mother is seriously ill and is at the verge of dying. I got up when he said if there is someone like that here, the person should stand up. He said everything that my mother was going through. And even mentioned that, because of the love I have for my mother, I had left my matrimonial home to be with my mother. I started crying when he was talking about what my mother is going through. The pastor said that if he does not do some directions and prayers for her, she will not live to see the next 2 months. But he promised me that if I was ready and believed that my mother can be healed and have her freedom, he will also promise me that my mother will be well again. That, he said, is according to my belief and my willingness to help my mother. Hearing these words from him, I told him that I will and am ever ready to do anything there is, if that will mean my mother's well-being. He asked me to kneel down and for him to pray for me. After the prayers, he said that he will ask his young pastors to go with me to my house and do something for my mother. But then, he said I should wait for him when we close. So, after the service, I was with the woman who I went to the church with, and one of his young pastors came and called me. When I got to his office, he told me not to worry, because he was going to do anything possible to make sure my mother is well again. After saying that, he said, "But you know, just like I said in the congregation, your mother's well-being is dependent on you." I told him I'm ready to do anything for my mother. Saying this to him, I didn't know what he meant by my mother's well-being is dependent on me. He smiled and asked 2 of his pastors to go with me and perform some directions for my mother. He told me to come and give him a report in the following week after the directions. His pastor went with me to the house and prayed for my mother. After which they did what their head pastor had asked them to do for my mother. All this while I was with my mother taking care of her. She was not eating anything. Except for something liquid. If you give him any heavy food, she will not eat. The more the days go by, you will notice that she was becoming lean and small. Her health is fading as the days go by. But then, after the pastors came and did what the prophet had asked them to, on the 4th day, my mother for the first time in a while spoke to me. She was able to open up her mouth to say that she will eat. I was extremely happy. I went out and told the woman who took me to that church about the development. I prepared something for her, together with the help of the woman. After she finished eating, I went to my uncle's house and told him of the development. Everybody was happy. Because if you see my mother, nobody will tell you that she was just waiting for her time and just pass away. So, when the day for the church service came, I hurriedly went to the church, and after the service, I told the prophet about what has happened. He told me that he saw my mother in vision getting back on her feet. So, we had to go to the next stage of the direction so that she can be fully healed. Knowing what my mother had gone through, and what was happening, I told him I was ready. He asked that I allow myself to go through certain rituals he will ask me to, even if it seems too absurd with me, in order for my mother to be well again. He said that, sometime, in times of difficulties, one needs to do things that ordinarily he or she won't do. He said again that if only my mother's full health is what I am looking for, then I cannot get the health I am looking for my mother unless I go through that ritual. At this point, I was desperate and was ready to do anything in order for my mother to be well again. He said that There is this river behind his church and he asked me to go to the river at 1 a.m. naked and do the rituals there. I asked him what I was going to do there. And he said that I will get to know the rituals when after I am naked and already at the riverside.
Please kindly subscribe, share and like our videos. Kindly hit the notification bell so you will be the first to get notification to our videos when we upload. Like I always say, these are not just stories for story's sake. They are meant for us not to make these mistakes our brothers and sisters are making. That's why we share these stories with you. I hope we've all learned something important from the story. In our quest to make it in life in our various workplaces. Please let's be mindful of the choices that we make. Because it can either make or unmake you in a long run. Please let us be more vigilant and careful about these prophets. There are things if you really are observant about your own self, anytime any prophet or pastor asks you to do something, and it is not from the Creator, your own body, mind and soul will start asking itself some question. As to whether what he or she is telling you is true or not. The moment you start having doubts about some of these directions they give, please my brothers and sisters, just walk away from them. Because the moment you go ahead with it, the very spirit that was given to you by your Maker, you have decided not to listen to it. And that alone is a disrespect towards your Creator. Thank you and kindly share your thought with us in the comment section below. And if you are new here, please subscribe, like and share. Thank you for listening to this episode. Watch out for the next episode, and you can also watch other interesting and intriguing confessions we have on the channel.